In today's program, Master of Craft, how did volunteer initiative for protection of peaceful protesters turn into professional manufacturing? Why is Ukrainian armor in great demand all over the world? The UATV channel is investigating how Kyiv enterprises produce up-to-date armor for young soldiers who stand under fire defending our country. About 4 years have passed since the beginning of the Revolution of Dignity, a victory of the Ukrainian people over a corrupt regime supported by Russian leaders. According to one of the versions, in January-February 2014, special detachments and snipers who stood against peaceful protesters were sent to Kyiv from Moscow. The peak of the tragic events, the death of protesters and shootings, fell on February 18th to February 21st. People who were standing in protest in Maidan Nezalezhnosti, or Independence Square, wore handmade armor vests and helmets that could protect them only against rubber bullets and bullets of low caliber, but they did not protect them from the firing of machine guns by snipers. As a result, dozens of people died of bullet wounds. The criminal case regarding this incident is still being investigated. However, one thing is clear: the killers were equipped better than their victims, and they worked professionally. So this is exactly the issue that stirred up a group of like-minded people to take action against such police brutality in February 2014. When the mass shootings of people started at Maidan Nezalezhnosti, someone took a car tire or shield to defend themselves, someone rescued wounded persons, and someone started producing armor. The idea to make armor came to us spontaneously. We scooped up a lot of internet information about the protection of people against small weapons. Today, the enterprise of Vyacheslav Nalyvaiko could have covered the needs of twice the number of defenders. Moreover, enemy snipers would not have figured that they were shooting at people wearing armor. One of the most interesting items that our enterprise makes is civilian vests. As practice shows, they're in great demand even today if people want to protect themselves against armed attacks. Unfortunately, we can't turn back history, but Ukrainian masters produce up-to-date military equipment to protect servicemen and average civilians not only in Ukraine, but also abroad. What special detachments of the world are today wearing armor vests made in Ukraine? What is the main feature of up-to-date armor? Coming up next. The Ukrainian army gradually fell into decay since 1991. It seemed that nobody would attack a peace-loving nation. In 90s and 2000s, defense enterprises produced a low number of weapon and uniform, modernizing only Soviet items. So in midst of the events of 2014, future founders of the enterprise for producing of modern armor found out that they could only find vests from the Soviet war in Afghanistan. We found all Afghan armor vests, modeled and integrated them. There were about 40 vests. It took us a week to do that.
Это произошло не за часы, не за дни, там, может быть, за неделю. Конечно, к тому времени все было закончено. Вот. Жилеты эти, кстати, были чудовищные совершенно, там, по весу, по всему.
Unfortunately, volunteers failed to help participants of the Euromaidan events. The protest actions ended with a shift in power. However, the Russian special operation to seize power in Crimea started at the end of February 2014. The so-called Green Man, to be sure Russian military personnel, started blocking all the military units throughout the peninsula. Experts noted that their uniforms had unidentifiable marks, but they were perfect. Watching videos of that period, it is quite obvious that Ukrainian military servicemen were ill-equipped in comparison with Russian soldiers, so it did not take long for the volunteers where to send 40 Afghan armored vests. The vests were sent to Crimea and then to Kharkiv, and after that we lost their traces. Later we started to get orders. Guys, we heard you make armored vests. Would you mind sending more of them to us? What can we do to get the best vests faster? Vyacheslav says that the experience of the first combat actions that happened in eastern Ukraine showed all the defects of army supply. Soldiers at the front line, as well as artillerists at the rear, were provided with the same armor sets, although all the soldiers risked getting into line of fire in quite a different way. The same situation happened with the representatives of the mass media who came to the front to cover the news. Why do journalists need the same protection as landing troops? Thus, the idea to create specialized armor sets for the needs of different military units, as well as for civilians at the front line, came about. As a result, several disparate production sites were united into one company, and some of them even moved to Europe. How do they do that? The main part of bulletproof vest is ballistic layers. There are three types of layers: steel, ceramic, and polyethylene. Steel is the simplest material for armored plates. This armor plate was popular 3 years ago. At the same time, we started traveling abroad and studied modern technologies and materials. As a result, we decided to refuse from armored steel in general. In spite of the fact that the material is sound and cheap, it is very heavy. It weighs about 5 kilograms. Moreover, a bullet can ricochet off of it and injure the bearer of the vest or those who are nearby. All the old Ukrainian bulletproof vests are mostly made of steel. Ceramic material is good enough because it weighs 2 times less than steel and can even stop sniper bullets that do not ricochet off such a vest. The probability that the internal body of the carrier will suffer from kinetic impact is also low. Just like when a car collides with any obstacle, the hood takes the main blow. In such a way, very few of the ceramic parts in an armored vest are destroyed and the person wearing the vest is fully protected from the hit of a bullet. Polyethylene plates made of high molecular weight polyethylene are the most commonly used. It is able to protect soldiers against the AKM or AK-74 bullet. Its weight in the small size is only 1 kilogram and 170 grams. Such plates are comfortable to wear and a bullet cannot ricochet off them. Instead, the bullet remains inside the plate. Multi-purpose helmets are also made of double extra strong polyethylene. Speaking the truth, body armor made of this material is not suitable for everyone. They are rather designed for soldiers of special forces and policemen. Armor is produced using special equipment made of imported raw material. After that, a sewing workshop gets down to brass tacks. First, we make a sketch, a so-called technical draft. After that, we select materials and sewing techniques. So before sewing a vest, we have to thoroughly plan how to make it. Nadia doesn't use computer modeling. She used to work in the old manner, namely sketching on paper. This is due to the fact that the enterprise fulfills a lot of individual orders. In truth, it is similar to an atelier for armor production. It's easier for me to sketch on paper because different people have different body structures and clients are different. Of course, we have serial production, but all the same I make it manually because it is simpler for me. After numerous modifications in the process of manufacturing, the workers of this workshop sew the first sample. Nadia says that fabric and the cut of a bulletproof vest are no less important. The Ukrainian enterprise uses one of the best fabrics. There are different densities of the cloth. The weight of the vest very much depends on the cloth. To make a military uniform, we use corduroy. It is the most popular fabric used in sewing such uniforms. Corduroy is a thick nylon fabric with a special thread structure, has a water-repellent impregnation, and a polyurethane coating. Initially, it was used to make uniforms for the army. Unlike many world manufacturers, Ukrainian vest makers have the opportunity to immediately test the sewed body armor in real combat conditions and get immediate feedback. After we have sewn the first sample, we give it to specialists for testing. Afterwards, we get feedback. We communicate with them. They show us and tell us what alterations we should do to improve the quality. In any case, they know better because they are the ones who wear these vests. After that, we make the modifications according to their recommendations, redesign the vest and alter it accordingly. An ideal bulletproof vest should not hinder movements. It should hang comfortably on the body and the wearer should not perspire. Ukrainian designers find solutions using a combination of several techniques. Wearing our armored vests, every soldier can make the shoulders and sides fit to their body. As a minimum, they can not only change the size of a plate, but also adjust the length and width of the vest to fit their body. Ventilation is a very important attribute of this uniform. We use not only 3D net for air circulation, but also isolon foam, which serves as a damper. In the end, finished models are sent to training range for testing. Andriy Strelets participated in hostilities as a volunteer in eastern Ukraine, so he has a good grasp of armor. He told about the evolution of vest models in which this enterprise specializes. If 2 years ago the most popular armored vest produced by our enterprise looked like that, it is with protection of the neck, shoulders, chest, back and flank, and it was very massive, then today we have a more compact vest, but with a higher level of protection. These are the most comfortable vests with a ventilation system and a fit-in function. Any armored plate which would protect a soldier against the strike of a light weapon or a bullet of a sniper's rifle can simply be placed inside the vest. The shirt protects the parts of body which cannot be protected by an armored vest. In other words, the vest does not protect the vital organs. Armor inside the vest protects only the shoulders, cuffs, and the sides. Is this shirt capable of stopping a bullet? Andriy says that this armor has quite another intended use. It protects the body from shrapnel. According to statistics of conducting military operations in the east of Ukraine, the majority of soldiers suffer from shrapnel wounds. The same situation can be with the victims of terrorist acts. If a civilian decides to participate in some potentially life-threatening mass public demonstration, they can take this backpack along. You can carry this backpack in a large crowd without raising suspicions. It protects you no worse than army armored vest. There is a ring in front that you pull and a fabric valve opens up. So this allows you to pull out the armor to protect your chest. Several seconds and you have protection from all directions. Such a backpack could save a lot of lives during mass acts of protest at the central square of Kyiv. Ukrainian masters produce these vests to protect the average citizen from any potential gunfire during public demonstrations that attract large crowds of people. It is similar to standard autumn or winter clothing, but there are several polyethylene plates inside. The main zones of the body of a wearer of such a vest are protected from gunfire and light automatic weapons. We invested a good deal of money, expended a lot of time, and put a lot of efforts and health into making objects that have no analogs. For example, we developed ballistic plates. There are very few companies abroad which produce plates with such features and in such a wide range. So Ukrainian designers fulfill orders of soldiers from elite detachments from other countries. Vyacheslav says that one of the recent clients is from abroad. There's an entire special police unit in Brazil that combats drug dealers. All the policemen of the unit wear armored vests made in Ukraine. They are very satisfied. First they tasted the uniform and then they purchased several of them. Generally speaking, we provide armor to both hemispheres, southern and northern. However, the main object of pride of Ukrainian armored vest designers is this helmet. It saved the life of a soldier on the front line. Of course, we asked the soldier to give this helmet back and presented him with a new one. Thanks to masters who are well versed in war, armor that is made in Ukraine will save a lot of lives and will do everything possible not to lose the eternal race between a bullet and armor.